Hey guys, Richard here with Downgrid Survival. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how you overthrow a superpower. So just imagine for a moment that you have a superpower that is revered by some, hated by others, but they are the strongest militarily, strongest economically, and people have decided that that nation needs to fall. So how do you tackle it? Well, as a veteran, I can tell you I know a little something about tactics. Not a lot, but I do know a little something. And so one of the ways you could do it is you have to garner the support of nations all over the planet, come together and try to provide just an overwhelming force to take on this superpower. Now that's going to last a long time. It's going to be very costly. It's going to be very bloody, and there's no guaranteed outcome. Now, there's another option for overthrowing a superpower, and that is from within. And that's exactly what's going on. So, if you know anything about Greek mythology, you know about the Trojan horse. And, I don't know the story, I can't recite it, but the fact that the enemy built this giant Trojan horse, like a wooden horse, very tall, very large, and they hid warriors inside of it, and they presented it to their enemy as a gift because of a holiday or something that they were celebrating. And, the enemy was hesitant for a while, but then accepted it and brought it inside the gate, inside the walls of the fortress. And within a day or two, the warriors on the inside broke out of this giant statue that was constructed, and they continued to wreak havoc. And from my understanding is they overthrew the enemy. So that's the kind of thing that we're experiencing today, right? So let's talk about that for a minute. So if we wanted to do that, overthrow a government, we might first install a demented leader that you can lead around by a nose ring and tell him what to do, where to go, what to say, where to stand, right? So you could start with that. And then you give him a whole bunch of paperwork to sign and kind of force his hand into signing a bunch of stuff that he really has no idea what he's doing or signing, but it's instituting laws and regulation and things that harm the people and cause things to really start to get moving. One of those could be, say for instance, you could tell your fighting force, your military, to abandon a whole bunch of equipment, billions of dollars worth of equipment and supplies and technology and airplanes, and leave it to your enemy so that they have that technology, so they can learn about that technology, so that they can learn how to defeat that technology. Okay, that's one way you could do it. Another thing that you could be doing along, while all this is transpiring, is institute policies within your military ranks that really causes dissension, causes people to want to leave the military, causes people to, kind of give up hope, and make them feel like, why am I doing this? Why am I fighting? Why am I volunteering my life to fight for, these types of policies and corruption and the mayhem that's going on? And then on top of all that, you throw in a whole bunch of wokeness so that you further demoralize the fighting force, because now you've got you got men and you got women, and then you got himshies and a whole bunch of others mixed in, and there's so much emphasis that would be placed on who is who and how do you call whom what, and where do they stand and where do they go to the bathroom, and it causes a whole lot of turmoil. So then you got your leadership focusing on those kind of issues because it's important to the supreme regime, and instead of watching what your enemy is doing, instead of training to defeat your enemy, instead of just being overall prepared for whatever might be coming next, you focus your attention elsewhere. So it's a great distraction. So then let's see, what other some other things you can do. Well, let's consider it. Maybe if if this superpower had a stockpile of weapons, right, and you don't want them to use it against you, what you could do is you could create a skirmish somewhere in the world, and get the superpower to support and get them to ship all their weapons and equipment and hardware and bullets and a whole bunch of money, and you send it to the war effort without even fighting. So you deplete their supplies. So that's another step in the process. Another thing is, if this superpower has a reserve source of energy, you got to cut that stuff off. Okay, that's one of the first things to go. That's strategic planning 101 right there. You got to cut off the energy supply, because without energy, they can't function and they can't operate. They can't defend themselves. They can't communicate. They can't, everything comes to a standstill. So to do that, you could, find ways to slow their oil and gas production, eliminate it if you can. Any stockpiles that they have, you give it away. Well, you don't give it away. You sell it so you can profit from it. But you get rid of all these stockpiles of oil, so that the fighting force that is left, that still has some kind of will to fight, they don't have any gas and oil to do so. So that's part of strategic 101 right there. Cut off the oil supply, cut off their energy. And then lastly, once you get this nation to where they are nearly broken down completely, and they don't have the ability to fight anymore, then you provoke them and encourage them to engage in war with a larger enemy, a larger fighting force. For instance, you could get them involved in a war in Europe, and really push hard and instigate and hope that somebody over there is going to attack, and drop this great nation to its knees, or maybe in Asia, for instance, there's large enemies, large groups of people in Asia that may not like this country, and you could, send some dignitaries over there and do some things that they've told you not to do, and really kind of instigate and poke and prod and see if you can really get something started over there. Maybe you have some American workers working in this communist enemy territory. Some high-tech workers. What you could do is tell those workers they're going to lose their citizenship if they don't come home and stop working, in order to try to cripple that enemy's technology and their economy, to kind of force their hand into attacking. So look, there are just so many ways that you can bring a superpower to its knees from within. And so that's just some knowledge and things I want to share with you. And why would you do all this? Well, one of the things that you would do if you had an agenda, okay? If you had an agenda that you wanted to implement worldwide, say, I don't know, maybe you decided you wanted to be the superpower. Maybe you decided that you wanted to rule the world, and you wanted one world government. You want to kind of maybe, reset everything, right? And start all over. But the superpower was in the way. Well, that's exactly how you could take them down from within, right? You could just really, really tear things up and wreak some havoc with them. And that's where we're at.